It was another quiet night at the office. No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, here we are. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Radio Central AM 830 WCRN. From the center of the dial, the center of New England, and of course, the center of information, AM 830 WCRN. Now, you can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. That will get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. And of course, we do have our text line up and running at 617-297-8388. You text that like you would anybody else. It appears here on a screen in the studio in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. Don't forget the station does stream 24/7 on the TuneIn app like thousands of other radio stations do. So that means you can take us anywhere. And I love that feature. So in and out of the car, it's on your phone, your tablet, your device. Very easy to take us everywhere. Hey, do me a favor. If you don't have TuneIn on your device or your phone, download it. Seconds to do that. Punch in WCRN. You'll see our cool new logo, which if you look at the streaming, it's on the wall behind me, huge. It's on my shirt. It's on my hat. It's on everything. And when you hit that like button, we know you're there, and then we're very easy to find. You can also tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that with no questions asked, which is a great feature. I do stream from, in this case, broadcasting from the WCRN studios high atop the Carberry Towers here in Westboro. And you can watch that on the station's Facebook page, YouTube channel, or my social media at Joe Mangi Show. And that would include X, Facebook, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile. And we do stream to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Rumble. So multiple ways to watch, multiple ways to join us online in video as well. Today, behind the glass, flying the board today, he'll get you set up and into the studio at 508-871-7000. I think that takes care of a lot of the housekeeping, right? We probably could record that, Ted. But we run through it every time, but I want to make sure everybody understands what they can do. And I guess I forgot to point out that, hey, you can also listen to the show as a podcast. When I get done, we simply turn it into a podcast, and you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts: Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Play. You know the drill.
It's technologically improbable.
It's so advanced. All right, we got a lot to talk about, but I just, one more time, I am so sick of this ballroom talk. The left has got to give it a rest. I'm listening, I'm watching it on TV. I'm watching the left really attacking it like this is a huge thing. Even other, radio stations, this station, seriously, it's a ballroom that multiple presidents have said it would be nice to have a ballroom. It's the White House, the residence of the president, and they're either in the Rose Garden, which has just been done over, so it's no longer ladies' high heels are sinking into the grass. It's actually a patio, in a function. I mean, they have balls that they have to go outside the White House. So this has been a long thing, but here's the thing. First of all, no taxpayer money. All right. So what's the criticism? Well, who are the donors? I want to know too. But seriously, before you start throwing that up like you got some really juicy I gotcha moment, where were you when they were hiding the donors of the Hunter Biden painting? Were you curious then? Because they were spinning it that they're going to keep them confidential as if that was a good thing. They tried to gaslight us then. No. I wanted to know because they're not. It's not clear what they're getting, and you're telling me that the painting Hunter did, blowing paint through a straw, and I understand why that's the medium he used. is worth $500,000. Come on. When one of the buyers of the artwork ends up with an ambassadorship, you know the drill. It's a Hillary Clinton pay for play thing going on here. So, first of all, it's no taxpayer money. I don't know why people are still acting as though it is. Yes, it's I think 100. Don't hold me to this. I think it's 100 million of Donald Trump's money and another 100 million plus from donors. Do you know the breakdown, Ted?
You know, I don't know the breakdown. I'm sorry.
Nor do I
But
care.
What I do know is that when there is a Democrat in the White House, they will have access to this.
Yeah, that's
ballroom.
either the ballroom doesn't go to Mar-a-Lago. It already has a beautiful ballroom. It's becomes part of the White House, which on that point, by the way, for the I don't know 20th time I've done this, is ever since the 1790s when the original White House was built, there has been major renovations, additions, subtractions, overhauls, facelifts to that building. Yes, it is the people's house, but every president does their own little thing. I mean, we had a bowling alley installed. We had a pool installed. Nobody was crying out about this. And they're trying to spin this like they're destroying the East Wing. They have not destroyed the East Wing. They're adding on. There's going to be a bridge to what will be the ballroom. In order to do that, that wall had to be opened up. They didn't destroy the East Wing. Get a grip, people. Original construction of the president's house at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue was designed by architecture James Hoban. And it was for the executive mansion residence of the presidency. But over time, Ted, you want to say something?
Yeah, maybe the reason they don't want that part of the White House torn down is that could be where Comey planted all the listening devices.
Well, that's the other thing. Part of the bunker is under the East Wing, too, because this is the other point, right? There were times, like between 1948 and 1952, Truman basically gutted the White House inside. So the facade was left out. So from outside, it still looked like the regular old White House, but the entire interior was gutted. And this is this is post-World War II, and this is where they took the opportunity to reinforce the building, to put in the bunker, to put in safe rooms, communications, et cetera, et cetera. And don't forget, the West Wing wasn't part of the original mansion. That, too, was added on. Now, if you go to joemangiashow.com, my site, you're going to see my essay on this, but I put pictures of the different construction stuff over the years. And guess what? They weren't pretty. It's a construction site. He should have, right? In retrospect, he should have put up the vanity fencing, right, to cover the construction, because it's construction. And out of all presidents who might do something like this, do you not think that it's going to be beautiful when Donald Trump is done with it? His signature real estate development is high-end, beautiful places, whether it's Mar-a-Lago, some of the castles, golf clubs, whatever. They're always gorgeous when he's done. So just don't get your panties in a twist over this. It will be beautiful when it's done. It's a massive ballroom, and it'll be there for all future presidents. And finally, the White House will have an appropriate place for state dinners, for balls and dances and gatherings. That's the purpose of this whole thing.
A real venue.
A real venue, right. And as I said, it will be in time, finished just in time for his 2028 inauguration ball. So just relax, folks. Right? We also, by the way, the West Wing wasn't part of the original building. The West Wing was an addition. Then the Oval Office wasn't even when it was put in 1902. There were the major renovations because we entered a new century and they had to update the building. Remember, this was built in 1790. The original building for this was meant to, you had candles and fireplaces. So they had to modernize it and bring it up. And in the 1800s, in 24 and then in 29, was the addition of the south portico and the north portico. That was James Monroe and Andrew Jackson, respectively, put those in. And let's not forget, the place was burnt down during the War of 1812 and had to be rebuilt. So it doesn't make any sense when people are going crazy over the addition of a ballroom. It's not costing taxpayers any money. And yes, I'm 100% every donor, and they have to be listed. If I think they have to be listed, because what are they donating to? They're not donating to the campaign. They're donating this to the project. Now the criticism's coming about licenses and permits and all of this. Well, since Washington, D.C. is not a state, and it was created for the purpose of the government, any president, not just Trump. See, this is the thing, right? The left wants to they want to pick and choose the presidential powers that Trump gets to use. It doesn't matter. Whoever it happens to be president is a steward of the position. So the rules or the powers does not fluctuate with who's elected or what party they belong to, people. They rest within the office of the presidency. And none of these other presidents had to go get permits for a lot of this stuff. Now they have to do on the construction, on the addition part of it. So just relax. And again, the interior was gutted. A steel frame was installed. Major reconstruction of the interior between 48 and 52. And in Ronald Reagan, and you're going to say something, Ted?
I was going to say, yeah, but none of these people were Trump.
That's it. Although Ronald Reagan in 81, right now, they did major, Nancy and Ronald Reagan did major decorations. They totally refurbished the private quarters, the staterooms. And that was a private fundraising campaign, by the way. That was another incident that the Republican president, Ronald Reagan, did not use tax money for that either. So there's constantly updating and fixing this. And let's not forget, when the Clintons left, they took furniture and silverware and antiques with them they had to return. And the same people who are now complaining about the structural and historical well, you didn't have a problem when historical statues were being torn down left and right, folks. But we have to take our first break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN 508-871-7000. To the phones when we come back. Mark's holding. Mark, we'll go right to the phones on the other side of the break. Back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds, folks.
Are you ready for a change? Do you need a job that works around your schedule? How about driving your own kids to school and getting paid for it? AA Transportation is offering paid CDL training with regular permit classes that get you on the road. They have immediate openings for school bus and van drivers, as well as monitors across several districts. All you need is a good driving record with at least 5 years experience, a clean quarry, the ability to pass a pre-employment drug screening and DOT physical. If you already have a school bus or 7D certificate, join us now and earn up to $30 an hour with guaranteed minimum hours, health and dental benefits, plus a 401k. And for those experienced coach bus drivers out there, we have a position for you too. This is perfect for parents, retirees, or anyone who enjoys being behind the wheel. Call Lori at 774-361-5042. That's 774-361-5042. Start your journey with AA Transportation.
Junk piling up, garage bursting at the seams. It's time to call in the mighty at Mighty Movers. They don't just move, they remove. Their junk removal and clean out services are the fastest, easiest way to reclaim your space without lifting a finger. Whether it's yard waste, old furniture, garage cleanouts, or even hoarder cleanup, they've got the muscle and the mission to get it done safely and affordably. Selling your home or just tired of the clutter? They do offer full property cleanouts, demolition, and furniture delivery too. One call clears it all. Proudly serving Marlborough, Boston, Worcester, Framingham, and beyond. They're Central Mass's cleanup crew with a can-do attitude. Call 978-793-6165 or visit MightyMoversMA.com. MightyMoversMA.com. Mighty Movers. They bring the might so you don't have to lift a thing. All right, folks, welcome back here to the second segment on the Thursday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Before I go to the phones, just one final thought on this whole ballroom, White House, and so forth, just so you have the background, you know this. There is a difference between what's called the mansion, right? The executive residence in the main part of the mansion, and then the East and West Wing offices. So the breakdown on that is the National Park Service pays for the residence. So that's where the president's apartment is, and the center part, and the blue room and all that. That's actually paid for by National Park Service. And the General Service Administration is responsible for the budgets and paying for anything done to the wing, East Wing or the West Wing, and all of the, the decorative and the furnishings. All of that is nonprofit White House Historical Association and its subsidiary, the White House Endowment Trust. So when Clinton took the silverware and the artwork and all the furnishings when they left the office, it was the White House Endowment Trust who said, hey, don't you know we actually have all of this stuff inventoried and photographed and it's missing? You need to bring it back.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Caught there. All right, 508-871-7000. Let's go to the phones. Mark's been waiting patiently. Hey, Mark. Good afternoon. What say you?
Well, you say our friends, the British, torched the joint, meaning the White House in the War of 1812, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So they rebuilt it, obviously. But they added, from what I understand, after it was rebuilt, they added the West Wing, and then later they added the East Wing, correct?
Correct.
So the East Wing is the one that they're demolishing now. All right. Who was president at that time?
When they added the wings?
When they built the first time. Who was the president when they built the East Wing?
Madison, I think, right?
Yeah. So he's as bad as Trump then, right? He's a usurper like Trump then, right? Like, this is not unprecedented, you bunch of ding-dongs. But what it is that it's a good, stupid, faceless, factless truth, according to you, that you're pushing forward to the dumb population to make them believe in something that is totally false.
I'm sorry. What's false, Mark?
The fact that they're saying that Trump is a this and a that and a this.
Yeah, it's totally false. Look.
Yeah, because it's been done before the president.
From day one, right? Almost every president does something. First of all, every president gets to redecorate the so forth, right? That's why they created the White House Endowment Trust. So that basically, traditionally, the first lady goes in and do the drapes and the furnishings. There's a huge vault.
Yeah, she does everything. Yeah. Well, I get that point, but you get my point.
Yeah, I do get your point, but they have nothing else to grasp on because every time they go after him on the issues, he's positioned himself on that 80-20 side, on the 80% side of an issue. Look how many times he is forcing the Democrats to defend illegal aliens and criminals, right? And going after, they have to support the people who are tracking and doxing and assaulting, driving vehicles into ICE agents. So every time they try to go after him on an issue, because they have the knee-jerk reaction and whatever's Trump is bad, they're always on the wrong end of everything. So they're literally digging up something to go after. So they've latched on to this thing.
With this statement regarding this.
Yeah.
You got Nancy Pelosi. All right.
Talk about
screaming her lungs. She's screaming her lungs out. What lungs she has left over this. And so is the other nincompoop, AOC. She's screaming her lungs out over this. But when you take the lid off the can of beans, you figure out and you do a little research that both of these women are full of beans.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, Mark. 100% on that. Thank you for the call. Always good input on this. Look, what are they going to go after him for? He's got 8 world wars or conflicts resolved under his belt. He's gotten so much done in the first part of it. Well, we're in October, so 10 months of this administration. Look what he's accomplished. Now, things like the major structural changes, like in 1902 when they had to modernize the building, and then in 48 to 52, that was actually paid for by taxpayers via congressional appropriation because they were essential structural upgrades. It is a federal building. And just like the Eisenhower building next door was built to house the government's administrative offices, that was built more or less in modern times. But we constantly are fixing, upgrading. Look, when the electricity started to be in more demand, they had to retrofit all of these federal buildings from up to 60 to 100 amp to 200 amp. Then 1 million computers getting plugged in. They had to install cable and then fiber optics for the internet and Wi-Fi. So look, it's a federal building when you break it all down, and it has residents. Part of it in the main part of the mansion is for the president. And again, I just gave you the breakdown. The different agencies cover different things. And for the mansion part of it, as I said, the National Parks Service, they take care of the residents. But the general services or the GSA, they take care of the wings. So relax, people. And call 508-871-7000. Tell me why this is all wrong. Tell me why this is so horrible. I just can't believe the amount of time that we're spending talking on this, and as if this is a huge issue. It's not. Just get over it. It's all going to be done. There'll be how many square? It's a ridiculous amount of square feet. I mean, I think the ballroom's going to be like double the size of the actual main part of the mansion. It's going to be absolutely beautiful.
Joe, they don't have anything else.
Exactly. This is long overdue, is the bottom line on this. They've needed it for a long time. And if this was a Democrat doing it, there'd be a bill in Congress. It would be coming hundreds of millions of dollars, or at least millions of dollars, to be coming out of taxpayer funds for this. So this echo chamber, this endless parade of outrage coming out of Washington to the media, from the media, screaming about Trump building a privately funded ballroom at the White House. First of all, you'd think he was bulldozing the Lincoln bedroom here. And he's not. He hasn't destroyed the East Wing. This is the other spin I'm hearing, right? Look at this. The East, he's tore down the East. He didn't tear down the East Wing. He tore down part of the wall on the furthest end of the East Wing. There'll be a kind of a bridge or a tunnel. Not a tunnel. It's not underground, but I don't know what to call it. But there'll be part of a building that just kind of connects the ballroom to the main house or the East Wing.
It's called the corridor.
Yeah, a quarter for this, but not like inside. It will be standing on its own, and that will even be beautiful. So you've got to knock out some of that wall, but the footprint of the East Wing doesn't go away, folks. So everybody just relax, let it be done, and it will be gorgeous when they're done.
You know, Joe, the way it's being pitched in the press is that Trump is sitting there with a pointer saying, knock that wall down,
Yeah.
turn that off,
Just,
lock this up. When
so
in fact,
silly.
there's probably 2 or 3 architects involved.
There's an architectural firm, there's a general contractor, there's all kinds of supervisors. Plus the other thing, the criticism about, yes, everything in there. There are people whose entire career is cataloging, maintaining, protecting the contents of the White House. So everything in that West Wing has been moved probably to the vault. It's not going to be, they're not destroying paintings. They're not destroying furniture. Well, you guys just get a bit of reality on this. And there is this vault, by the way, in the basement of the White House. And the vault is climate controlled, and that's where all kinds of things are. That, I mean, we're talking pieces of furniture going back to 1790 that were brought into the White House when it was first built. As a matter of fact, Trump made reference to a mirror in the cabinet room the other day because a cameraman bumped a mirror, one of those curved things, almost 400 years old. I mean, this thing existed long before we were a country. So even the Resolute desk, not every president uses the Resolute desk, by the way. I don't know if people realize that. There's about 6 desks that each president gets to choose. He chose I think Biden did too, the Resolute desk, which was a gift, and exact copy. There were 2 made. One went to the Queen of England, one went to the United States for the Oval Office. But not every president has to use it. There's like 6 desks that they can use from. Now, I know we all joked about it when X, isn't that Elon's son? X was in the White House, and he, did what kids do to their nose, and he touched the Resolute desk. And just, I think coincidentally, right after that, the Resolute desk went out to be refurbished and fixed out. But given that Trump is kind of a germaphobe about that stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the reason was. But the point is, relax. The contents of the White House are in good hands. Trump isn't going to take thousands and thousands of dollars worth of furnishings like the Clintons did. He's not going to take the china or the silverware. And he certainly isn't going to take a ballroom. But, we'll enjoy it. All future presidents and the United States government. Now, the next thing that the left, I'm sure, is going to lose their mind over is, you've got the Qatar jet being gifted, but the actual new Air Force One is about to come out. And this was started under Trump's first administration. So originally, he didn't think he was ever going to get to fly in it because he thought he was going to do 2 consecutives, and it was planned to come out now. It'll come out maybe 26, early 26. Point is, the new one's coming out. But we're going to take our mid-show break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. 508-871-7000. Stick with us. We'll be back in 2 and 2, folks.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. I've got high temperatures today around 60 degrees. We're going to go with a mix of sun and clouds and keep it dry. Tonight, we're going to fall back into the 30s and 40s. Kind of uneventful night, just normally chilly. Tomorrow, similar temperatures, but skies are going to be a little cloudy. We've got the slight chance for a Friday sprinkle coming through, but the weekend will stay dry. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central 830 WCRN. Are you looking for a holistic approach to your health? One that supports your body's natural ability to regulate, adapt, regenerate, and heal? Look no further. The Bioregulatory Medicine Institute, BRMI, a nonprofit global organization dedicated to advancing the science and art of bioregulatory medicine, welcomes you to their free and rich library of resources. You'll find articles, podcasts, videos, and more at brmi.online. BRMI believes health freedom is a basic human right, honoring medical ethics and the innate intelligence of the human body. When your body is properly supported, it will thrive. If you're looking for the root cause of illness, physical, emotional, or spiritual, visit brmi.online. brmi.online.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second half of the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. And don't forget, our text line is up and running at 617-297-8388. So to shift gears here, so we have another situation of an illegal causing fatalities, a major car accident, and because of lack of English proficiency. So a semi-truck driver, a 21-year-old Indian national named Jaspernet Singh, he entered the U.S. illegally in 2022. They have arrested him, and he caused a deadly 8-vehicle crash on Interstate 10 in Ontario, California. 3 fatalities, a lot of injuries. And, Duffy, right? Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, after the one with the California commercial driver's license, another Indian illegal, who entered legally and then overstayed, but somehow got a commercial driver's license. So Sean Duffy has tightened the road safety regulation enforcement, right? So he said, look, commercial truck drivers lacking English language proficiency will be removed from service. And the DOT will intensify its oversight of both domestic and international commercial driver's licenses. Of course they do. They have to. This is one of those situations that if the law and common sense were followed, these people would not be injured and dead. The incident really takes a look at the intersection of immigration enforcement, commercial driver licensing, and public safety on U.S. highways. They all merge here. And if you cannot, read the signs, know the traffic rules, and then be able to speak the language and pass, how do they pass? Who's issuing these? And are they being issued by lowering the standard? And yeah, Ted's giving me the money thing. I know. We had that problem. What we're referencing, for those who might not be watching the video, because we're doing the hand to it, what we're referencing, we had this problem out of the Quincy Registry. There have been times where people who work for the DMV have sold licenses, and they range everything from you come and take the test and you give the examiner cash and you're always going to pass, to people who had access to the DMV records because they work there, literally just creating your license and even using that they know false information.
It's happened in many states.
It's happened all over. We had it here in Massachusetts. I know of a case in New Jersey. Look, it happens all over the place. A long time ago on one of the shows, because I had done interviews with illegals to find out, because my curiosity was, how do they know when they come to, right? How do they know? Is there a dark web website that they go to? So I was curious. I did a lot of digging and investigation and what it was. And I was following the path of several Brazilian people. And if they end up, say they come to Massachusetts, they gather up the money and they pay the money, and a van shows up, and 12, 15 of them get in this van, and they take them 2 places. First out to Ohio, because they had a person in Ohio that could get them a Social Security number issued. Then they were taken to Maine. And when they went to these states, again, this is what I got with my interviews and talking to them on how they know to do this or how it's done. So they pay at every stage of this. And they rent one of those 15 passenger vans, drive to Ohio. Then there's somebody who's already here, and for so much, whatever the breakdown is per head, they crash at that house on the floor and stuff like that. It's not like you're going to a cute B&B in Vermont. You're literally crashing. You grab in a corner of the rug, you sleep, You go, you pay more money, you get a Social Security number ID. Then that van takes you to Maine. And for some reason, Maine was the preferred state to get your driver's license in. Then a few months later, you go do, the reciprocal, and you switch your license, say, to Massachusetts or wherever you were living. Now, you don't have to, I guess this was done, I did this a few years ago. So I guess you don't really have to do that because we here in Massachusetts actually issue licenses to well-known illegals, right? Remember that legislation? We voted on the ballot question no, but the legislature overrode the people's voice on that and still issued them. And many of you might remember that show with the state senator sitting in the studio with me. And I said, well, obviously, if you're going to go ahead and do it anyway, you must denote it, right? There's going to be a green strip, or we're going to print the license vertically like we do with junior license. We're going to do something so that it doesn't look like mine. It doesn't look like Ted's, right? It doesn't look like the officer knows immediately that this is an illegal. No reason to do that. And of course, the question is, we have this registry voter thing going, right? When you either get your license or you renew your license, they automatically connect you to be registered to vote based on your license. Well, isn't that going to mean that a lot of illegals are going to get registered to vote? What does this member of the state legislature say? No, that's against the rules. You can't do that. I get that. How are you going to prevent it? Well, the registry is just not going to do it. Oh, okay. Now, this show, at that time I talked about this. This is back, do you remember the kid who killed, he was driving in New Hampshire, I think 6 motorcycle people were killed in this crash up, and it turns out that his license was revoked and was sitting in a box in a storage file at the registry for 8 months. They never got around to revoking this kid's license. And several people were dead because he was on the road. So I just don't believe the registry is on top of it enough to be able to know the difference between a name coming across them that's illegal versus a citizen, and they're going to get registered to vote.
Well, maybe they thought he was illegal.
So they didn't touch him? His hands off? Look, from the rule of law perspective here, if someone without a lawful status secures a commercial driver's license, right, you hear that all the CDL, and causes a fatal crash, there's systemic regulatory failures here. And how many times are we going to get these stories about this? So we've got in the 2 major incidences we're referencing where people died, they were both Indian nationals. And I remember that
in California.
And they're coming out of California. So this is going to be another great thing when we get to the debate stage in 2028, and Gavin is up there. Just, Pence is going to be able to Pence. Wow, where'd that come from? Vance or DeSantis. I think it's probably going to be JD Vance. It's really going to be able to remind everybody just how horrible the policies of California, and how one state's absolute, what's the right word, just blazing stupidity of this affects other states. Because once you get that CDL license, you can drive anywhere.
It's already happening, Joe.
All
Newsom
over the place.
Is screaming and yelling about his $40 billion. Why am I not getting my federal highway funds? And then this happens again.
Yeah. How about this is on the many list of reasons why. This and the guy in Florida who killed the little girl. She ended up, months in a coma. And look, both the video, if you haven't seen them, you can go find them. Again, this one here that just happened, this guy, this 21-year-old Indian illegal. It's a tough one to watch. Because
impaired driver.
Yeah, and that another one. Yeah, he was in. Yeah. So the video is tough to watch because the dash camera's on, and because he was impaired, he didn't apply a brake at all. He just drove into the line of vehicles in front of him with a 40-ton truck. And just imagine, it's a tough thing to watch. So was the one in Florida with the U-turn, the illegal U-turn, because those cars didn't have time to react, and they just drove under the trailer. It was very bad. So we have this. We have these CDL licenses being issued, and let's take the legal part out of it. If you're not proficient in being able to read and write the language, if you don't understand and haven't shown that you're proficient in understanding the traffic laws, how are you getting a commercial driver's license? Take the boats. You can go buy a boat up to 50 feet, drop it in the water, and drive it around. That would be like your private driver's license. But at the moment that vessel exceeds 50 feet, or you hold it out for hire, right? So if you're going to charter it for fishing day or just somebody to relax on your yacht or whatever, you have to have a captain's license. That has become a commercial vehicle. And you're holding yourself out to the public to engage in a business. Well, once that happens, you need to have a captain's license. And depending on the size of the vessel, you may get an X number of crew and so forth. Well, similarly with the truck, if you're driving your truck, and you can get some pretty big truck. You can get, on your regular Class D motor, license, you can drive a motorhome, a camper, and you don't need a special license. But the moment you say lease, rent that out to take somebody somewhere, you become a livery service. Now there's a whole different licensing and insurance, and you need a livery license. It's the same principle here.
What about being bonded?
Yeah, that's the other thing. How are they getting bonded? If they are bonded, who's doing the underwriting? Who's checking this out? Every time something like this happens, a zillion questions come to mind about this. And don't forget, this is on the boots of this fatal crash in Florida back in August. Again, an Indian national truck driver entered illegally, right? Again, the interstate licensing, immigration debate, it's got to be stopped. And then we've got fraud, and we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. But we're going to take our third and final break here on the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. We'll come back on the other side. Lines are open and available. Time for you to jump in at 508-871-7000. What say you? 508-871-7000. Back in two, folks.
Looking for a station that brings you all sides of the story? Tune in to 50,000-watt powerhouse WCRN, where the left and the right meet in the middle. Whether you lean left, lean right, or just want to stay informed, WCRN has you covered with diverse voices, lively debates, and thought-provoking discussions. From politics and health to pop culture, you'll hear it all right here. Radio Central, where opinions from both sides come together for the conversations that matter. From the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830, WCRN, Radio Central.
Did you know by age 35, most people start to notice the effects of declining hormone levels? Symptoms include lack of energy, less focus, decreased sex drive, weight gain, and poor quality sleep. Twist 25 DHEA cream helps men and women 35 and up to maintain vitality, youthful vigor, enhanced mood and focus, and a better night's sleep. As a base building block for hormones, DHEA gives the body a key foundation it uses to make hormones. Visit twist25.com to learn more, or call 888-489-4782. 888-4TWIST25.
WCRN Radio is thrilled to bring back a legendary voice, and now you can help tell the stories. Paul Harvey captivated millions with his unique style and unmistakable voice. By sponsoring the rest of the story, your brand can become a part of this rich tradition, and it links your business with a program that people love and trust. So don't miss this unique opportunity to grow your business while becoming part of something truly special. For sponsorship details, just go to WCRNradio.com.
Learn how you can make your retirement exactly what you want it to be. Join attorney Jeff Monfett for Retirement Security every Monday and Friday afternoon at 2. Set the stage for a worry-free retirement with Retirement Security right here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
All right, folks. Welcome back here for the fourth and final segment on Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. So today, right, as we're in, I don't know, third week of the shutdown, and we've had a dozen of these attempts at a clean bill, right, continuing resolution, clean CR. And I love that Schumer's out there totally sounding exactly opposite of what he was not just a short time ago, but over the years, who would say, don't hold the people hostage, and it's horrible not to vote for a clean CR, when it was the other way around. So this is truly the Schumer shutdown. But today, they were going to take a vote. I don't know what the results are, if they've done it yet, but they were going to just say, well, at least to the Democrats, agreed to pay federal workers. Why do you want to inflict this pain? Because this time around, and Trump has pulled money and even got private donations to pay the military. And I think, and I saw Bernie answer a question about why does Congress get paid on a shutdown? I agree 100%. The first checks that should not be cut if there is no CR or a budget in place are members of Congress. And Bernie, no, not everybody can afford that. There's young members and so forth. Well, again, do your job. And who was it? There was I think the Maine senator who, again, do these people not realize that everybody can see them when they go on TV and the internet? And she's literally saying, I know that there's a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, but we're not going to give up our leverage. Causing that pain and suffrage is our leverage right now. Yes, but you're getting the blame for it, not the Republicans and not Trump. So what's the holdup? Why aren't they going to do this? Because they want a $1.5 trillion in spending, not a clean resolution. The clean CR just says nothing changes. We're not slipping anything in there. We're not jacking anything up. We're just going to keep it for 7 more weeks so we can negotiate. Ted,
they call it an appropriation in that business. And they're trying to use a clean CR to continue the government to force appropriations.
And they'll cause pain and suffering to do that. Now, in the argument, right, about the it's federal money going for illegals, and they don't want to, they're getting Medicaid and they're getting Social Security numbers, and that just got confirmed again, by the way. So now, HHS, Department of Health and Human Services, we just revealed that Jose Trinidad Ortega, he's a 38-year-old Mexican national, convicted child rape in Kentucky, received $7,300 in Medicaid benefits despite his illegal immigration status. Now, Ortega was arrested back in June by ICE. After his conviction, Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill criticized the Democrats for demanding this continued funding for people like Ortega's Medicaid as a condition for reopening the government. This just highlights the issue of taxpayer-funded health care for criminal illegal aliens. Is that, instead of the texts that you send, and let me tell you what people are doing, because they don't talk about this. So people who don't agree with me, or they want to call me names, or they want to attack, so they go and they get a phony number, or they get a Google number, right? Temporarily, they'll actually get a Google number, and from the Google number, they text the online, right? The 617-297-8388, or they text one of my lines to take off. And then whatever, you can't call their number back or text it back. They delete it and never go back to it. So you go through all that effort to hide your identity, to send these comments to me or to the station or the show. But why don't you call? I don't yell and scream at you. I let you talk. God knows this when I've let people say silly things. 508-871-7000. So the issue is that ridiculous for American citizens to say? I don't think we should be giving Social Security numbers to illegals, and I don't think we should be giving Medicaid and Medicare to illegals. Again, you cannot have open borders, and you cannot have a system where people who aren't part of the community, meaning citizens of the country, tap into the safety net programs, the welfare programs, the SNAP programs, who have never contributed and who aren't legally entitled to it, and then have all these programs. It doesn't, society can't survive on that. It doesn't work. And this particular person, this 38-year-old, convicted of child rape in Kentucky. That's brutal, guys. Absolutely brutal. Then we've got an Italian national unlawfully residing in Oregon, Giovanni Spiera. He's 29 years old. He just got sentenced to 24 months in federal prison with 3-year supervised release. And he's been ordered to pay $61,874 in restitution for his role in a multi-state conspiracy that stole more than $2.4 million from SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. We know that commonly we call it food stamps. Even though there's no stamps. Back in the day, there used to be these stamps, the books and so forth. And in the original days of food stamps, plus they used to give out like government cheese. Remember the old government cheese? Like when I was a kid, the kids on food stamps, they always had grilled cheese sandwiches because you could get bread. And remember did you remember the big blocks of yellow cheese, right? So, and now we're moving back to saying, well, okay, because now it's all issued with an EBT card, right? So you get a food stamp credit card type of thing. And every month they just replenish it. And because of the technology, we have the ability, everything has a barcode, as you know, and so now this administration and the administrators of the SNAP program is saying, well, you know what? We are going to restrict what you can buy, because let's look over the years in Massachusetts when we would find SNAP cards being used in Hawaii and Cancun and the Caribbean, and they were putting all kinds of things, cigarettes and liquor on it, which you're not supposed to do.
Hey, I need my ho-hos, bro.
And so I think the SNAP card should be stuck to, the basics. It should be that. And when it comes to formula, diapers and stuff, there's the WIC program. So that's for, single parents or low-income families that have children. I have no problem. Who does have a problem? Nobody should have a problem with helping a single parent, and I'm not going to say single mother because it doesn't matter, a parent who has children. Now, there's a viral video going along because I think his on-screen name is the Loopy Blogger. And this guy comes on because he woke up late because he doesn't work. But he gets $740 a month on his EBT card, his SNAP card. And he was informed that they were taking some of that away. And I don't remember the reason right now. But he did this video where he yelled at the American taxpayer to tell us, does he look like a man who has to go to work? It's our responsibility to pay for his kids. Now, all things equal, and if he did work and he didn't make enough to take care of those kids, yes, give him the food stamps, supplement that. We have members of the armed services. So these young soldiers, they make so little in the military that they actually qualify for SNAP. If they have 1 or 2 kids versus their income, they actually qualify, and they need a SNAP program so they can feed their children. And these are men and women who are defending the country. So this Italian national illegally here has to pay back almost $62,000 because of skimming data from the recipient cards. So they would, and you got to be careful. They'll get these, what they call, that's what they're called, skimmers. And they put them over the readers. Usually for the EBT card, you need an inside person. So somebody in the store has to know what's going on, because they just put it over the reader. So when you run your card through, it does process through the system, and it does come out of the the state, account, but it also reads the data off the strip, and then they can clone the card. And this happens. I've watched it happen in Worcester. I think one of the stores on Main South got busted doing this, because you would go, people would get their EBT card, their SNAP benefit. Say it's 300, 400. Say again?
It was a halal butcher on Pleasant Street.
Okay, on Pleasant Street. So you get this card, and I knew a guy, a family, they weren't married, but they had 4 kids. Their EBT card, or their SNAP card, was $1,200 a month. First, they fill that up on the 1st of the 3rd. I don't know which one they got, but they got filled up. And they went to this butcher shop, and he would process it, say, for $200 worth of meat. So the state, you taxpayers, are paying him the $200 going into his bank account automatically, just like a credit card payment would. And he would give them $100, 50 cents on the dollar. So people were converting their SNAP benefits, which is taxpayer money, into cash at 50 cents on the dollar. So they would purchase these large quantities of goods, reselling them either on the black market or cash on 50 cents on the dollar. And a lot of these, like bodegas and stuff that you see, that's what they actually do, right? People buy the stuff, sell it to the bodega at a discount for cash, and then they put it on the shelves and sell it for full price. Folks, how fast there was another SNAP program that was here in Massachusetts I can't get to, where Jay Jones is under criminal investigation, but this is Thursday. The boys will be here tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock for the Carr Brothers. That will wrap up the Thursday edition and me for the week here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Follow me on social media at Joe Mangi Show, MANGI, Joe Mangi Show. And don't forget, as soon as I get off the air, within a few minutes, this gets turned into a podcast, so subscribe wherever you get your podcast.